Well, we've been here for quite a long time. My parents bought an existing, I would say, dilapidated fish camp back in 1975. And then myself and my two younger brothers, we were all teenagers at the time, and it was very, very basic. Outhouses, hand water pumps, that kind of stuff. We started rebuilding the whole resort with new log cabins and new lodge and everything in the 1980s. And that was my job, actually, is to do all the building, actually, while my parents, my brothers went off in other directions, but I did all the building while my parents owned the resort, and eventually built the lodge and all that kind of stuff. We started using generators because that was the best way the most practical way to have power. We just needed more and more power. When we first started, we didn't need any electricity at all, and then as we upgraded the resort, we needed electricity. So we started with generators, and I used generators for 40 years, I guess. But started really looking into solar and stuff like that probably 20 years ago. What held me back a lot, not just partly was the expense of it, because it's a very expensive thing to get into for this size of an operation. But mostly it was the battery technology that was available. I don't think much of lead acid batteries. They don't have the life that wanted. Plus, actually, a lot of environmental and also they're dangerous. Same with lithium. So I started finding out about the LifePro 4 batteries, and that to me was a kind of a game changer in my thoughts, just because the longevity of the batteries and the safety and their tolerance of cold actually made them much more interesting. And there was a program after COVID that took some of the bite out of the financials. So started seriously looking into it, and put out feelers for different proposals for systems and stuff like that. And what actually that really set the solar power store apart from everyone else actually was, for me, was their planning out a complete system. It's complicated. Solar is, for me, actually, even now that I'm into it, actually solar is actually more complicated than ever. So having somebody integrate a system saved us a huge amount of headaches. And not that it wasn't still a challenge. Putting up the racks for the solar panels on the granite Canadian shield was definitely a challenge, but I've done a lot of that stuff before. But actually putting the system together and having confidence that the system would work together, that everything would work together, that was probably the most daunting part of the whole process. It's something that's actually really missing in the industry. It seems like a lot of the companies, they want to sell you different components of a system, but not an integrated system. And I have to say that our system is extremely well integrated. Right down to having an app on my phone where I get all of the data right here, and I can look at this anywhere in the world, and I can program it and all that kind of stuff and from anywhere in the world. It's really I would have to say it's a very, very well set up system. Quality components, not cheap, I have to say, definitely not cheap, but definitely a quality system that really, really works. We're going through pretty close to $20,000 worth of diesel fuel per year just for our generators. Between buying the fuel and transporting it in, because we're on an island, we're floatplane access, so it's fairly expensive. So we're hoping going into this year for about a 50% savings on diesel fuel, and the actual savings are right now about 95%. We're in a good area. I think we're in actually a better area, one of the better areas here, because we're at the top of the Canadian Shield. We're at the top of the watershed between Hudson Bay and Lake Superior. So we tend to have more sunny days here anyways. And so that helped a lot with it. But it's just the whole system, having 84 solar panels. I'm looking actually at up to doubling the battery capacity in our system, just because we're dumping power on sunny days. I think the only aspect that Solar Power Store hasn't been able to help with so far is I would really like to find a small, maybe 10 kilowatt wind generator for cloudy days and at nights and stuff like that. That would help as well. But my own research has shown there's really very poor quality component wind generators around. So they just haven't been able to find them, and I haven't been able to source them as either. So at some point, that's kind of at the back of my mind, that I would like to have just a little bit of wind generation to supplement on cloudy days. Because right now, that's the only time I have to run the generator, is maybe 2 to 6 hours on cloudy days. Well, actually, there was a few components that there was small just tie-in components that we had to go back to the Solar Power Store for, but that was actually pretty minor. The major challenge they really couldn't help much with, because that was the actual installation of the racks that the solar panels went in, and but I'm very experienced with that type of thing anyways. So that was of all the challenges, it just took time to make sure that we put the solar racks in such a way that they will not blow away. And ours are attached to bedrock, so they're not going to blow away. We did have an incident right off the bat, where we had a lightning strike close to the building we had in, and one of our inverters actually suffered from an EMP pulse. But Solar Power Store hooked us up with the Sol Ark down in Texas, and Sol Ark warrantied it, because it EMP shouldn't have bothered the inverter, so they got that switched out. So that's about it. Actually, it's not that it wasn't a challenging. The inverters and the batteries were the easiest thing to install. The most expensive component of the battery were the batteries. They look cool, by the way. It looks like a computer server room. The batteries definitely do not look like batteries. But that was the easiest part. The inverters were a bit of a challenge putting them in. I'm lucky, because I have my younger brother is a very experienced commercial electrician, and he's done. He was a fairly high end, so he's done solar farms. He's actually installed solar farms, big solar farms and stuff like that. So he was very experienced. So I would definitely recommend having a quality electrician doing the installation of the inverters and tying it into the electrical network. So and then the biggest challenge is, and I don't know how you access them. I'm very experienced with erecting. Built all our cabins, our lodge, everything. So I'm very experienced with construction and putting things in, stuff like that. And but it's really important, especially when we're on an island up at the top of lakes, the divide between Hudson Bay and Lake Superior. So wind can be a factor, and tying the racks for the solar panels down so that they won't blow away is well, very, very important, because after all that, you don't want them blowing away. And these things are not small, actually. Each rack of solar panels is 24 panels, and they're not small panels, so they I highly recommend Solar Power Store just because of the quality of the whole package that they put together. It was well integrated. I didn't find any of the other suppliers actually were able to put an integrated package together that I really was confident in. That everything is planned out, even the cables and the connectors and stuff like that, that everything is integrated into one system, makes things an awful lot more straightforward, because it's not it's not a small project. Ours was not a small project for us, actually. It was a fairly significant one. I haven't done that big a project since the last cabin I built, actually. Having a system that you are confident is going to work right from the beginning, with schematics and all those things, lots of instructions on how to mount things properly, all of that stuff. That to me is the most important aspect when considering a system, is to make sure it's all going to work together, because unless you're really experienced, there's many things that can go wrong, and then you have a very frustrating experience.